Hey guys, Moneyman 300 back for some more Forza 5 here, continuing on with our all classes, all tracks series to give you guys some cars to run in your leaderboards and your lobbies. Mostly leaderboard cars here we're doing. We're going to do the top cars, give you guys some chance to lay some times down, but you guys already know that. Anyway, this one is Catalunya, and there's one car that really this should work for all three tracks, and any self-respecting Forza player should have a D-Class purple Mini in their garage. This thing, it's fun to drive. It's a go-kart, man. It just drives like a go-kart. But yeah, a little Christmas present for you guys. This one I think is going up on Christmas morning. Once I finish it up here and get it scheduled out, this should go up on Christmas morning. So a little Christmas present. Get up, you know. Watch yourself a Forza video, get yourself a new car, and as always, the tune will be up on Rivals. But this is or up on Rivals, up on the share or the storefront or whatever you want to call it. You guys can download that tune if you don't want to have to go put in all the numbers yourself. So let's take a look at our lap here. Let me get a quick restart and then change our camera angle to the back here. Camera type. Let's get our game camera here. So here we go, down that main straightaway. Actually, I made a couple of from the time I set this lap, and this is like 271st. Okay, this isn't, so I wouldn't call this a great lap, but I could not hit that first turn, and by not hitting the first turn, it kind of screwed up these two turns, and I had to let up on the gas a couple places, and I'd start off like, I think I was 2 seconds behind. I was using the top 100 car, and it doesn't show it on here as my rival, and I was like 2 seconds behind him after that first turn, and I ended up just outside of a second behind him. So I made up a second on the rest of the track. If you can hit that first turn, and I actually made a couple of adjustments as I was testing this out on the shorter Catalunya track. This is the medium one, by the way, and I think it's even going to be better. I changed a little bit of the gearing and the roll bar change and some camber adjustments. So and it really improved my turning on that one. So probably gonna help me on that first turn. But yeah, here's this one. There's no tricks to driving this track, really. It's just you want to get these cut real tight right there, just over the top, and you could even cut that a little bit tighter than that and hit that. This is running down to the 124 and a half, probably another half second or even better in there, get you closer to that top or into that top 100 if you can drive it just a little better than I did. So this is going to finish out our lap here, and then from there, let's we'll go ahead and stop this and head over on and take a look at our tune. Alright, so here we are over in the build and parts and tune section. So let's breeze through here. I can't remember, do I have? Yeah, nothing here. I don't think there's really going to be much, or if any, engine parts at all in this. You just really can't do a whole lot, especially with the Catalunya tracks. We're really going for acceleration and grip. With those turns, you need to be able to get in and out of those turns, or get through those turns quickly. So nothing here. All stock there. We are going to have the front, both the front and rear Forza Aero. Take a look at those. There you go. Oh, look at that Mini. I don't know why I like the purple on this, but I don't know, just kind of a cool metallic purple color. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's move on here. Here's the wheels we got, and start with this. We're going to have the full race on there. As I mentioned, we need race tire compound, want all the grip we can get. Anything less than that, and you really aren't going to be able to hold turns. I mean, it's just, I don't know that it's, you know, maybe super elite driver possible, but probably not to set great time. So you're going to need as much tire as you can get, and that goes for the width as well. As you can see, I've tried probably about every combination over time on this car. I've probably redone this car about 3 or 4 times. Not in this iteration, but overall, you know, where I've tried different compounds and things, and what I found is, you know what, just put all the grip you can get on it. That's what you need on these tracks. This is not a speed car by any means. You're not going to want to take this out onto the next track that we're going to do, which is Indy GP. This is not going to be your car for that. You can make a Mini that'll work on that, but this isn't it. So if I remember right, yeah, there we go. We're in here with the Koenig afterburners for our wheels. And then I believe we're going to have max upgrade, maximum width on those with which are 15-inch wheels, those huge 15s. So we got 15s on the front and the back with that. And on over to the drivetrain. So we're not going to have a clutch transmission. We do have the sport transmission. This is one area where I've seen a couple of people down here with this. And it actually might even have been this one, which I think is Very similar to this transmission, but not adjustable. You're going to want an adjustable transmission. Because you're probably going to want to tailor this, and I'll talk about this when I get in the tune. You're going to want to tailor that final drive to you a little bit, and you want to be going with the turns on this track. You want to be able to maintain the same gear through those turns and not having to shift in them. So you don't want to be topped out in the middle of a turn or get topped out coming out of a turn and not be able to shift soon enough. So I've also played around with the race part of the transmission in there as well. But ultimately I landed here on the sport transmission. Driveline, can't remember. Looks like we've had a couple, but in this case, I should just double check here. Yeah, so always check for that free upgrade there. Nothing there. And then race differential. Back out and show you what we got over here. Next one, we're gonna have brakes. I have the full adjustable brakes. You can see another place where it doesn't really cost me PI to have it, so I have it in there. There may be a case where you could get 1 PI out of it if you did something different with your wheels or something like that. But race brakes, race springs and dampers. We're gonna have race front roll bar, race rear roll bar, and I can't remember. Yeah, no. This puts a ton of all the way up to 409. Right, it gives a 9. Just to add your chassis reinforcement and roll cage, and we're not doing that. We do take all the weight out of it though. Again, very important for acceleration. You don't have a boatload of horsepower here, so we need to get that out of there. So next thing here, what do we got? Oh, engine parts. I don't believe, I take that back. We have race intake. I don't believe I have a lot of engine parts. We'll take a look. Race intake is all I have. Looks like at some point I had some of that going on. Pretty sure we are stock carburetor. And race ignition. So we do have a couple of engine parts in here. And race exhaust. Okay, so we had way more engine parts than I thought. I didn't rebuild. This is a Mini I had previously, and I didn't rebuild it. I just retuned it. So I left all the engine parts in here. We also have the race valves. I wonder, I'll think about this. And then we have sport engine block and sport pistons and compression. That's an interesting one. I wonder why I did the pistons on here instead of something else. And you get 9, and I guess it does take a little weight off. That's probably why I did it. Anything that'll take weight off and add horsepower, I always like to do. So there are quite a few in there. So go ahead and get those on there. The one thing you might consider in here is if you look over here, we got our favorite positive displacement charger, 10 horsepower. That's 20 PI in there. That might be why I didn't do that one. Usually you get a good bang for your buck. Potentially not in this car. You'd have to come out here, take a few of these off. So this was like 8 horsepower for 11. You just seem to get more bang for your buck in these. I'm just trying to think back to when I actually built this, since this was more of a retune than a rebuild. So that's all of our engine parts. Okay, so let's take a look at our tune here. Got the tires. I had 30 and 30. I go back and forth on this. I really can't tell a difference on what I do with the tires, to be honest with you. I'll look at the telemetry, I'll match it up, but the reason this is a little bit higher is just this thing takes forever to get the tires warmed up, so it seems if you put the pressure up a little higher, your tires will warm up a little faster, so you're not having to hot lap so much. Sorry, got a text there. trying to respond to a text and do this. It always seems like it's like the worst timing when I make videos. All of a sudden my phone starts going off, my dog wants out, and my kids are coming down. But anyway, moving on. 355 on our final drive ratio. So this is one area I made a change that's actually different from what you saw in the video. I believe I was at 3.2 before this. I bumped this up a little bit, and I did this when I was driving on the short Catalunya track. So you can play around with this a little bit. There might be a little play here that you can get one way or another, but this seemed to work out pretty well. I didn't test it a whole lot back on on National, on Catalunya National, but it should work. It should not be an issue with it. Next thing in here we have is the camber, which is -3.5 and -3.0, 0 toe, and 5.0 in our caster angle. I didn't find any reason to have to mess with those. Oh, I swore I changed this. I have 40 and 1 in here. There's 2 ways you can do this, and this is totally backwards from, to be honest with you, from what it should be. This typically this car is just weird. It's just different. Typically in a front-wheel drive car, you're going to have low or soft front anti-roll bars and higher in the rear. And sometimes you'll see a 140 setup. I did the 140 setup, and the thing just, every time you hit the gas, it wanted to drive straight off the road. It just didn't react the way that I wanted it to. I'm going to give you another setup to try on, and go ahead and try both of these, because I thought this is where I ended up, and I wonder if I changed it and didn't save it, or I did something different, but I thought I ended up here. So this I found to work really well also. And that was just take all of it out, go complete soft. So you might try it both ways and see which one works best for you. It's going to be a little bit specific to how you get on the gas and do that. But either one of these settings, what it helped to do compared to that is it turned when you got on the gas. It dug in, like the car really hooked up. You know, when you hit the gas, it seemed like it just hooked up and went around the turn really well. If you flip-flop this, and you can test it yourself, if you go 1 and 40, or you know, something 10 and 30 or somewhere in there, which you might see more common in a front-wheel drive car, that thing will drive you right off the road as soon as you hit the gas. So you got to be going perfectly straight when you come around a corner before you hit the gas. And if that's how you drive, then maybe it's more suited for you. I'm just gonna leave it at here for now, because that must have been how I was driving it last. I swore I had that at 101, but anyway, that's where that's at. And we're gonna have softer springs in the front, and that's just to really keep those front tires planted on there. So we're at 179 and 253. And then 4.5. I did have to raise it just a little bit for coming up over those turn strips and not spinning myself out and bottoming out on those. So I couldn't quite keep it all the way down. Damping pretty high and soft. This is another area where I tried several different settings. This car drove me crazy trying to tune it. I tried several different settings on there. 11.2 and 11.7 is where I ended up, and just full 1010. Finally, that just felt the best to me, and you can adjust those a little bit to your needs, but I think this is a pretty solid setting here. It made a fair amount of difference. I was actually a little bit lower in the rebound on both, and then in the bump I was a little bit higher. I finally just went to a little bit more of an extreme setting, and this car seems to take to that kind of setting, so that worked well. Here's another. This is kind of a front wheel drive tip, and I didn't do that on the on my other build, and I may consider doing that on the Mugen CRX, and that is 100% put full downforce on the front with none in the rear. That can really help you get around a corner very successfully. So that's a tip, and it works a lot in the lower classes for front wheel drive. You don't have a lot of higher class front wheel drive cars, but that really works well a lot of times. If you're having problems getting it to turn, go ahead and just throw all that downforce on there. You're gonna lose a couple mile an hour straightaway, but you're not really worried about that on a track like this. So again, that Mugen CRX brings that up. I did not do that on that one, but it could help in a couple spots. That track isn't quite like this one, but this is another good one here. 49 and 140 just seemed to be the place that worked the best for me. Kept it pretty stable in my braking. And then finally in differential, I did bump that all the way up to 100. And I played again around with some settings that were lower, higher. And this just, again, when I was midterm, seemed to keep the car gripped, hooked up, and turning and not pushing away. I mean, if you've driven any front-wheel drive cars in this, you know that for me, the most frustrating thing about it is you hit the gas, it wants to drive up, right? So this is one of the settings you can kind of bump that up a little bit. And I got a tip on the Mugen CRX that I want to go back and test that I have not done yet, and that was related to bumping up my acceleration a little bit. But on this one, 100% is where I ended up, and then 10% on that deceleration. I'll usually put just a little bit in there. I think the default is 0. I like to bump that up just a little bit. But that's all of our settings here. So a little Christmas, purple minis for everyone on Christmas here. So I hope everyone has a great holiday season. And get out there and play some Forza 5, download some tunes, and yeah, let me know what you think of this one. I think there's still potentially more work, but there's only so much I could do. I wanted to get it out there, get it in you guys' hands, and test it out. So anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.